Hey, what's up YouTube? Techie Champion here. Today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about backing up an iOS image. Also, we're going to get into restoring or upgrading an iOS image later on. But the first thing we're going to talk about is backing up your image. Um, I'm going to be doing this lab on my physical equipment. If you guys don't have physical equipment, the best thing for you to do is hit the internet, go to Craigslist, eBay, pick up some routers, pick up some switches. I have 4 routers and 2 switches in my lab right now. I was actually lucky enough to have a guy at work just give me 4 routers for free. He decided he was just going to work with his layer 3 switches and he wasn't using that equipment anymore, so he just handed it over for free. It's older hardware, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is the image that's installed, because the image tells the device what it can and can't do. I recommend at least having a 12.4 Cisco iOS image installed on your routers. Um, the 12.4 image allows you to do SSH, and it also allows you to do IP version 6, which are two very important concepts on the CCNA. Um, so you definitely want to get the 12.4 image if possible. And typically, if you're buying from a guy on the internet, he most likely has everything you're gonna need. At least that's the case I ran into when I purchased my switches from Craigslist. I picked them up for 40 bucks a piece, and the guy was actually cool enough to give me all of the 12.4 images I needed for my routers, and he gave me the 12.1 images for the switches with SSH capabilities. So as far as I'm concerned, I think I'm all set for CCNA study, and I've got about 100 bucks invested into my physical lab, which ain't too bad. I paid 80 for the hardware, and I also popped over to my local computer store and bought a USB to serial adapter, because most newer computers don't actually have the serial ports on them anymore. And if you're going to be doing Cisco, you need a serial port. None of my computers had serial ports, so I went ahead and just bought the adapter, and it works pretty well. So let's talk about the programs we're going to need to get this job done. First thing, obviously, we're going to need is PuTTY, which is a terminal emulation program. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you already have PuTTY or something similar to it installed on your PC. But what you probably don't have is a TFTP server. And this is what we're going to need to be able to complete this lab. So all you have to do to get a TFTP server is open up your web browser, type in www.solarwinds.com. It'll take you to the SolarWinds web page here. Click free downloads. Scroll down until you get down here to the TFTP server. Go ahead and click the link or click over here and download the free tool. Very simple. SolarWinds is a very simple, easy to use TFTP server. It works really well. So go ahead and download that. One thing to take note of when you download it though is it's going to create a folder on your hard disk called TFTP root, and all of your images that you back up are going to automatically go to this folder. So take note of where it's located. You can locate it on your desktop or somewhere easy so you can get to it. I have mine located on my storage drive. I know where it is. So the next thing we're going to do is just open up Packet Tracer real quick. I just want to show you the physical setup here. Very simple. So here's my router. We're going to grab a PC. The PC is going to act as your TFTP server once you open SolarWinds and start running the program. So all we need to do is grab our console cable, which typically if you go to buy physical equipment, most of the time they'll include a console cable for you, hopefully. So we'll go ahead and just plug in the serial side to the serial port on our computer, plug in the other side to one of the interfaces on our router. It doesn't really matter which one. Or I'm sorry, wow, that's not what we want to do. Let me try that again. Grab a router, grab a computer. We're going to want to plug that into the console port, not one of the interfaces. If you plug it into one of the interfaces, it's not going to work. So, the next thing you're going to need is a crossover cable. If you're investing in physical equipment, you definitely want to go out. You're going to want to go out and get yourself some Ethernet cable. Ethernet cable's fairly cheap. I mean, you can pick up a huge box of like 500 feet for like 20 or 30 bucks. But anyway, you're going to want to have some Ethernet cable and maybe some Ethernet crimpers so you can actually make your own cables. In my physical lab, I made all the cables for it just so I could practice making cables, and it's good experience, you know. And then if you have just Ethernet cable and RJ45 connectors laying around, you can make the cables any length you need. You can make straight through, crossover, everything you need. And it's a good learning experience. You're getting all the experience you need right here at home. So anyway, in Packet Tracer here, we're going to go ahead and just grab that crossover cable. You're going to plug it into the Ethernet port on your computer, and then plug the other end into one of the interfaces on the router. It doesn't matter which one. Later on, we're going to have to configure some basic IP addressing to get all this to work, but we'll worry about that in a little bit. I'm going to close this down. Go ahead and open up PuTTY, which I already established my serial connection. Here, I'll just start over. Once you open up PuTTY, you're going to click the serial here. Make sure the speed is at 9600 and COM1, which is typically the default communication port for your serial connection. So go ahead and open that up. Typically you got to hit enter. There we go. Now we're into the router, just like Packet Tracer, only better. What we're going to want to do next, go ahead and type enable. Get yourself into privilege exec mode, and we're going to issue the show flash command. What this command is going to do is actually show us the name of the image that's installed in Flash on our router. So if you look right here, this is the actual name of the file that is installed. You can tell it's a 12.4 image if you look right here. It says 124 12.4, and it gives us a little bit of information down here about our flash and things like that. We'll worry about that later. I'm gonna end this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna make a part 2, so stay tuned. In part 2, we're actually gonna get into what we have to do to get our image backed up to our PC. So I hope you guys enjoyed part 1. Stay tuned for part 2.